Here's the deal, and joining us tonight, Sunny Lenarduzzi, Marco Iannuzzi, and Lee Checkstad-Uzzi. we need more Zeds in our name. Glad you could all be here. Let's kick things off with Sochi Security. This story just started to surface last night locally. I was listening to sports radio on my way home, and a lot of fear surrounding Sochi. You're a pro athlete. You travel. You've been to different cities and different events. Should people be afraid?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I was with a couple of guys who remained unnamed who are on the Olympic team, and it was the day after they just found out they made the team. And I said, oh, congratulations. And the very first thing that this gentleman said to me was, yeah, I don't know if I can bring my family. I don't think it's safe. And to think that you just made the Olympic team and the first thing you're thinking about is the safety of your family. Big topic. I'm with them. I think that you can't really be on your top game if you're thinking about how your family is in the stands, if something's happening to them or wherever they are. So.
Interesting. I wonder, is it because we don't trust Russia to look after people? Is that where we're...
I think there's probably a little bit of mistrust there. I mean, there was the 2 attacks at the end of December that definitely instilled a little fear in people, for sure. And on the family perspective, I mean, my dad traveled and played when I was younger, and there were a lot of places that he wouldn't bring us for fear of what was going to happen. And also from the kids' perspective, sometimes it's not as fun to be there because you're not with your family cheering them on with the rest of the country. So that could be a bonus for the kids staying back home and the family staying back home. But I understand the fear, for sure.
I was looking at some of the security footage from a story we did last night, and literally, even to get into the city, there are metal detectors, there are dogs, and I think it's really a shame that it's such a big event, such an exciting event, and even to get into the city where this is all taking place, you've got to go through such drastic measures, but I think it's necessary.
It certainly is. It feels like it's a little bit unstable, you know, I mean, and people tend to mock Vladimir Putin, possibly because he poses shirtless. You know,
on a horse.
You know, nice world leader. So you wonder, but clearly, I mean, Russia wants to make a great impression on the rest of the world, so they need to
They
pull
are
this
trying
off.
their best,
Right.
and
Yeah.
just looking at 40,000 troops
Yes.
trying to keep it safe, and you just hope they can, but
Well, buzz about this
deep
Black
down,
Widow maybe being in a hotel
deep down,
there.
of course you're afraid.
The fear of terror, it doesn't matter what Russia as a whole wants to do, and I'm sure they have good intentions, but fear, the battle against fear is always down to that one individual or that one small group, and controlling that one thing through a sift is very difficult to do.
Well, and I feel bad for them because I remember the Salt Lake Games, and remember some guy set off a backpack bomb, and you know, just a local American kid kind of, you know, it can happen anywhere.
It can,
We were so fortunate here in Vancouver. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we are going to talk to a security expert, and we've got a colleague who's going to Russia to work at the Games, who has an amazing story to tell about all the forms he had to fill out. It's really quite fascinating, so stick around for that. Slightly less fascinating, but we have to touch on because the whole world is talking about him. Justin Bieber, of course, arrested in Miami last night, a DUI. Surprised at all?
No. No.
You were celebrating last week when I was here, and he got in trouble for throwing eggs at a house. With
Yes,
he was with his friend,
the accident.
his friend
Yes.
Lil Za, I believe his friend's name was, which is awesome. So you were kind of celebrating regretfully that he was kind of caught. Now he's doing things that are, okay, they're beyond the egg throwing thing. Like this guy, he's tumbling faster than Lindsay Lohan.
He is, but you know what makes me really angry is all the people who were standing around encouraging him to street race and enabling it. Apparently they were blocking off traffic. Those
buddy,
people
his
should be
friends.
charged with accessory.
But come on, he's 19 years old. I'm not condoning it. Believe me, I'm not condoning it. But he's 19 years old with more money than he knows what to do with. Nobody's telling him no. He doesn't even really know the laws. He asked the police officers why he was being arrested. You smell like booze. You're drag racing down a residential street in a yellow Lamborghini. Like, laws do apply to him, but I just think he's so far gone that this is just one of the first steps on a very quick downward
Yeah,
spiral.
well, it is a slippery slope, so
Yes.
we hope that someone pulls him back. But what does this say about our society, American society, really, and Canadian, obviously, but it seems to be prevalent in the States, where we build up these young stars, as you said, more money than God, with no supervision?
Well, it's a shame that the past 2 times I've been here, we've been talking about Justin Bieber. There's so many other better things that we could be talking about that could be doing good, and unfortunately, because it's just so amusing to people, and it's just, the social media is making it even worse. It's blowing things up out of proportion, and unfortunately, social media is not controlled and regulated, and that's what everyone's reading these days. So we're reading the terrible stories.
And how many other 19-year-olds, though, might have been out drinking and driving last night or whenever? Yeah, it was last night. Not in a yellow Lamborghini, but, you know, maybe in a beat-up Dodge.
True. I mean, that's a true story. And the scary thing about this, I think, is that he's not the typical type of celebrity like a Michael Jackson or a Michael Jordan. He's very accessible. So on Twitter today, one of the trending topics was, "We will always support you, Bieber." So his legions of believers who are teens are thinking that it's okay for this to happen and that he's Justin Bieber, he'll be fine no matter what. So I think that's the bigger message, is that it's condoning the behavior.
It is. And the bail was set at $2,500 or something ridiculous. I mean,
Surprised
come on.
he didn't laugh.
Yeah, he probably wanted to. And later in the show, our WTF is some of the mashups, some really kind of funny things. So we'll just poke a little more fun. All right, let's get to our last topic. A man in Kansas donated sperm. A woman had a baby girl 3 years ago, and now he's been ordered to pay about $6,000 a month in child support. Fair?
No, not fair, but legal. I mean, where they live in Kansas, you have to have a licensed practitioner do the artificial insemination. They didn't do that. They got this guy through Craigslist, which I don't know. If
Should have been your first one,
exactly.
Probably a red flag.
Absolutely.
Craigslist and a turkey baster.
This guy knows it's not fair, but this guy didn't do his due diligence, and he kind of should be held responsible for that.
Do you really expect the guy that did this to do his due diligence?
On either side,
Yes.
really.
Yeah.
You know what? If I'm going to,
He just wanted some money or whatever he wanted. I don't know if there's something else that would involve with the transaction.
well, he's giving it back now.
Well, and that's the thing you have to ask too on the other side of this. It's not really entirely his fault. If you're looking for a sperm donor on Craigslist, I'm assuming this, but I'm assuming they were looking for a bit of a deal. But kids cost a lot of money too, right? So you probably should have thought that one through, and then you wouldn't need the child support, and you both wouldn't be dealing.
Well, I think there was an illness between the two women, and then they separated, and all of these
there
things.
we go.
And yes, this guy wrote away his parental rights, but
I hadn't thought of the bargain concept.
I think
well,
it
we
is.
weren't doing it with a physician, which kind of makes me wonder how all this happened.
You said very little, but it
wanna
might be because you
let
just
me
haven't had a
share-
chance.
I don't even know what else to say, but let me just share this, that in the newspaper back when I was in college, there was ads for would pay you $100,000 to donate your sperm if you had an SAT that was 1,600.
No.
Above 6 feet tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. So that's the immediate thing that I thought of, and this is potentially on the same borderline of being just as bad.
I don't think this guy has an SAT score like that, though. I'm just throwing that out there.
A little judgment going on there, Miss Sunny, looking at the pictures. All right, Sunny Lenarduzzi, Marco Iannuzzi, and Lee Checkstead. Thanks, everybody. Scared in Sochi? Do we trust Russia to protect the people in these Winter Olympics? Coming up, we're going to talk to a security expert and one of our colleagues who's headed over for the Games.